Are you ready to test yourself? Let's start. Hello, are you tempted to buy the new Chanel releases? Their single eyeshadows, Ombre Essentielle, or the Beiges Sunkissed powders? Then this video is for you. I will propose you a quiz. Just answer these 3 questions and we will determine together whether this purchase is for you or if it's a waste of money. Are you ready to test yourself? Let's start. The first question is, are you a one and done eyeshadow person? Or if you are interested in the Sunkissed glow powders? Question number 1 is, what's the size of your favorite bronzer brush? Have you answered the first question? Then let's go to question number 2. Pick your top favorite shades from the single eyeshadows or the face powder trio release. Do you have these shades already in your collection? And if yes, what is the expected difference in formula? So this question requires that you revise your collection, trying to identify the shades that you want inside your collection. Have you found them? Do you have dupes? In a moment we will go through the answers and I'll show you the examples that I have. I definitely have something similar in my collection. Question number 3. Last question. Again, pick your top favorite shades from the single eyeshadows or face powder trio release. Imagine to depot the pans. So discard the packaging and the double C Chanel logo. Imagine this was from an anonymous brand. Would you still buy it without the double C? Now let's revise your answers and draw results. If you like this format and you would like more of these, then like this video and subscribe to my channel so you can join our community of texture fanatics in the research of the best youthful formulas. So let's revise the answers. The first question that was declined into the 2 questions depending on the product is a usage question. Because of course, if you are going to spend that amount of money, is $40 for one single eyeshadow and $95 for the face powder trio. So it's a lot of money to invest in. And if it is an investment rather than a waste of money, we want to get the most out of this purchase, right? So do you use eyeshadows as a one and done, or you prefer to have multiple shades? In my case, for example, I am a one and done person. So I have also eyeshadow singles. For example, these are recent purchases. This is less recent, but I made these purchases, single eyeshadows from different brands. And that is because I use them since I am a one and done eyeshadow person. Instead, if you are not, then purchasing singles becomes unpractical. If you need 2-3 eyeshadows at a time to build up a look, then maybe you would like to consider a palette that has already a variety of shades. While if you are a one and done person like me, then it's fine if you open just one shade and then use it all over your eyes and call it a day. But if you want to build a look with multiple single eyeshadows, imagine every day to open different singles that maybe, like in the Chanel case, they have all the same packaging, so you cannot even distinguish them. So maybe you open the wrong one and you have to open all the ones that you have purchased. That becomes a waste of time that you may want to skip, and that becomes a reason not to use these single eyeshadows. So I think that the single eyeshadows make sense if you truly build a look with 1, maximum 2 eyeshadows. But if you need more than that, then I think buying a palette is the best choice for you. My rule of thumb is maximum 2 boxes, 2 packages opened. Otherwise, it's not becoming realistic for me to use them. So in my case, my answer is yes, I'm definitely one and done. So yeah, the single eyeshadows are for me. But look at the single eyeshadows that I purchased. Let's exclude this one, this by Colourpop. But these ones have one thing in common. They are from different brands. I can also recognize what it is from the packaging. What do they have in common? Well, These are all Beiges de Gelée. So there are definitely different price points. This is a Chantecaille, about 60 euro a pop. This is a MAC, 30 euro a pop. This is a Kiko, 11 euro a pop. But they are all in a special formula. So the conclusion is I can justify a single eyeshadow if it is worth it. It has a special formula. And personally, I don't think that those Chanel eyeshadows are anything special. They are standard pressed powders made in France. They are not this Beiges de Gelée formula. There are some interesting colors, but formula for me wouldn't be so special enough to justify this purchase. And even this Colourpop, this is the cheapest of the bunch. I think this Super Shock Shadow formula is a great value and it's worth investing on a couple, not more than that. Let's revise question number 1 for the case of the glow powder. I asked about the size of your favorite bronzer brush for a reason. The bronzer in those glow powders is placed in the middle. In order to use that bronzer, you need a small brush. If you are used to a bigger fluffy brush, then you're not gonna use that bronzer. It will mix up with the blushes and it may not be the color that you would like to have on your face. So consider that, because although it's an oversized powder, it is divided into 3 parts and the single part may be too small for your brush. And if you don't like the brush you are using, then you don't have the full satisfying experience with the product. So if your answer is that you like a big fluffy brush for your bronzer, then I don't think that the Glow Sunkissed powders from Chanel are for you. Let's proceed to the second question. Finding the shades that you like the most in your collection. I will share with you examples with the eyeshadows. I have 3 favorites among the new Chanel eyeshadows. One is this Jade Facette, that is this pastel green in a metallic finish. That I think is the most unique shade. So what I recommend is watching unfiltered swatches. For example, I like the ones by Lexi Young. She has already a short swatching her picks, and this Jade eyeshadow is definitely one of her picks. And from her swatches, I've seen that it could be similar to this Suqqu shade, or a combination, or the Suqqu and this Colourpop. Maybe this Colourpop is the closest. So it is a jade green with a golden shimmer. I think it's very close to this shade. This shade, by the way, is Corsage from a Daisy collection from a couple of years ago from Colourpop. But I'm pretty sure that even in the child palette, I have the child palette here, there was this shade here. This is a re-edited, rearranged Colourpop palette, but this shade here may be also very close. This is more yellow leaning, so it may be a combination of this. And I also have this Suqqu shade here. So these ones, or layering these ones, I'm thinking about layering, for example, this shade on top of this other one to give more golden shine. I think this is quite close to the true color Jade Facette by Chanel. So I have this shade, and it's a chance for me to discover back this Colourpop eyeshadow. With Colourpop, I think I'm settled. Another pairing that I would have liked to propose you is with this Bridgerton palette by Pat McGrath. That's this mint green here, and for the yellow we can use this. So the combo of these two, this layering. So this is definitely more minty aqua green, and with this one on top, you can see that you have a bolder version of this one, but I think the original Chanel one is close to this Colourpop layering. Or another layering can be starting again from the Mint shade by Pat McGrath, from the Bridgerton 2 palette here. It's an amazing shade. And on top of it, I have this Luxe Eyeshadows by Bobbi Brown, and the gold I was looking for is this one. Is a cool tone gold that is very smooth, and I would like to see how it looks layered on top of this Mint by Pat. So yeah, I think this is even better, and is definitely that yellow on top of the Mint gives that jade green shine. So either this, that is the layering by Colourpop, or this one that is the high-end version, Pat McGrath plus Bobbi Brown. So I'm covered. Then I like the lilac shade, but for the lilac shade I'm perfectly covered. I think the closest will be that lavender from Guerlain Summer Jean palette. This is an amazing lavender in the Baked Gelée formula, and this is totally the same as the Chanel lavender. So I'm covered with both shades. And as for the third shade, Brun Talpa, I think I can reproduce it with my Suqqu. These are Suqqu Designing Colorized eyeshadows, and there's a great mauvish taupe here. And if I want a tad more brown, I can layer brown, or I can consider other taupes. Taupe is my favorite color, so I have multiples. I have this one, is an amazing taupe here, and is very close to the first one. This is from the Givenchy palette 9.12, the neutral palette. I have a full video about this palette that makes you aware of all the nuances of this palette. Another taupe that I would like to show you is this one, and is from a MAC palette. I think I will declutter this since I don't use this palette. Is the Connecting Color Bronze Influence. Whenever I want to declutter something that is practically new, that I only swatched a couple of times, I put it on Vinted. So I will leave my Vinted link down below. You can have a look of things that I decluttered at 30%, 40% of the price. But this is a great taupe. It's more on the olivey side, and I purchased this palette because of this taupe that unfortunately I haven't used. So my Vinted link is in my description box in case you're interested in purchasing this palette for a good discount. So I'm covered with the taupes. I think that the first one is the closest to the reality. So these are my dupes, and I have also a video about Dior, is my last video, where I compared this lavender to the new Dior lavender from the latest summer collection 2024. So I also have this comparison even on my eyes, so you may want to check that video. The second part of the question in the test, what is the expected difference in formula? And this is the application of the BOB mindset, that is the name of this channel. The point is, if you have something similar to your favorite colors, consider also the formula, because you may have a superior formula already in your collection compared to what is the new offering. For the case of the lavender, for example, this is my favorite eyeshadow formula. That is the Baked Gelée. That is the best luxury formula on the market, in my opinion. If you want to have your lids looking smooth, there's nothing for me, for my type of skin, my preferences, my taste, that beats this formula. And that Chanel powdery eyeshadow is the standard powder formula, cannot compete with this one. So this matches in color and also has a superior formula. So it's the epitome of the Bobbi mindset. I have something already in my collection that is superior, is the best of the best already. So I don't need to purchase for sure the lavender one. In the case of the jade green one, Jade Facette, then also this I think is a superior formula. This was made by the combination of a Pat McGrath standard powder, so I think it's the same thing more or less of the new Chanel ones. Those are made in France, these are powders made in Italy, but they are standard pressed powders. But on top I also layered this Luxe formula by Bobbi Brown. Bobbi Brown is not consistent with the naming. This is called the Luxe eyeshadow formula, but is with the pen. Usually the Luxe eyeshadow by Bobbi Brown is a Baked Gelée one. Anyway, this, although is a press formula, is very smooth. So it's a special pressed powder formula that is my favorite pressed powder because it's a sheen that is quite smooth. So even if Chanel matches this, this is the best powder I have and I'm aware of. And that Chanel, I will swatch it in person. I don't think from the swatches that beats this one. So this combination is Pat McGrath plus this sheen, smooth sheen by Bobbi Brown. It's unbeatable as well. And I have already, I don't have to spend anything. So also I don't need that Jade Facette eyeshadow. When it comes to the taupes, the MAC is the more standard powder. I think it's quite close. It's the more pigmented one of the bunch. I think it's close to the Chanel one. These two are great because one is the Suqqu, and again, Suqqu is the slurry formula made in Japan that is my second favorite just after the Baked Gelée formula. So again, very smoothing and youthful, much more than a standard powder. So again, I have one of my favorite formulas already in the color that I'm interested in. I don't need to buy the Brun Talpa by Chanel. And this other one, what was it? It's the Givenchy. This is a great formula as well, not my total favorite, but it's great formula again. I like the combo, the colors here, especially the mattes in this palette. My favorite formulas out of these ones is still the Suqqu, and I'm happy I have a Suqqu version of the Chanel because in my opinion Suqqu is superior. From this analysis of my favorite shades, these ones, all of them have superior formulas compared to the current offering by Chanel. I am never wrong when it comes to these kind of considerations. As you might see from my previous videos, when I'm not convinced and I want to, test myself and I don't have a counter where I can swatch things, then I buy the product and then I realize that I was right in this type of considerations. So this time I will be good and I will save this money because I have the best on the market already. Finally, the third question, let's revise the third question, considering the eyeshadows without the CC. Sometimes you want something because there's a brand behind it. When you buy something from a luxury brand, you want the total experience. So even the packaging may be part of that luxury experience. In the case of the powder trio, you have the oversized Chanel case. But keep in mind, this is plastic. It's a plastic with just a name on top. It's not even a special release like this, for example. Those single eyeshadows, as well as the glow powders, are standard plastic packaging. So are you want to pay 40 euros for a piece of plastic just because it has double C on top? What really matters for me is the content. If there's a pretty packaging, that is much welcome, but it's not the primary purpose unless the packaging is so special, but that usually is something related to the holiday releases, like this, for example, are the best in my opinion. And sometimes I do buy something because of the pretty packaging, but the content should be great as well. So the content first and then the packaging. But I don't think this applies to those new Chanel items. I usually do my best to focus on the content rather on the packaging. The only exception would be if you are one single eyeshadow person, you don't have variety of makeup like I have, and you may want to bring with you an eyeshadow for retouches in your purse. In that case, maybe you may want to consider that Chanel single. Just buy one single, that color that is your color, and yeah, you also have little sponges, and it would be great for retouches and as a nice pretty Chanel thing to carry with you in your purse. But since I have plenty of makeup, I do my makeup before going out, and I don't bring my makeup with me. Maybe I can bring a lipstick or a powder for retouches, but not certainly an eyeshadow. I just rely on a primer if I want the eyeshadow to last, but I do not retouch my eyeshadow. It can be very messy because I'm quite dynamic when I go out. I don't need to bring with me an eyeshadow, so I would not need to have also pretty Chanel packaging. With all these things considered, you may have noticed that the result of my answers are that I don't need these eyeshadows. I won't buy any of these Chanel releases. And what is the result of your test? Let me know in the comments the result and if you are going to buy these eyeshadows. See you in my next video. Bye!